Stories that matter, conversations that count. The Clement Manyathela Show, live from the Westbury Recreation Center, exploring gang violence, drug abuse, and hope for the community on 702.
Dumelang, welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show. It's wonderful to have you with us here on 702. I hope you're well this morning on this 5th day of November. We're not in studio today. We're broadcasting live from Westbury, an area that, much like other few areas, has been engulfed. It's been infested by drugs and gang violence. The police have tried to intervene. Religious organizations have set up house here and tried to intervene. Community leaders have tried their best, and the area is still much affected by the scourge of drugs and gang violence. So we're here today to talk to the community, to have a dialogue with other stakeholders about how they are affected and what they think could be a solution. We're broadcasting next to the Westbury Recreation Center. Remember, there was a shooting here in this area in Westbury about 2 weeks ago of 7 young men. 2 of them were left deceased. One of them, who was left dead, is a 14-year-old. 14 years old. That is not normal by any measure. And that tells you that this is a crisis. Some children join gangs here because that's the way to keep themselves safe. Some of them join gangs and their parents know about it. In fact, I've heard, having spoken to some people here, that some people don't even leave their homes at certain times because they are scared that they are going to fall victims to the gangs in this area. We're broadcasting a few blocks away from that shooting that took place about 2 weeks ago. And we're right now, as I speak to you, I'm in between 2 gang turfs. There's a gang called the Fast Guns, and there's another one called the Varados. And where we are now is basically, call it a neutral area of sorts, but it's right in the middle of the 2 gangs. Driving in here this morning, I saw some young people who are in school, but I also saw other young people who are not in school. And when you look at them, you can see that they're already high on drugs. At this time of the morning already, we have a drug problem in this country. We have a gang violence problem. And yes, the areas we live in, some of us may be safe. Maybe you and I don't have to deal with issues of gang violence and drugs where we live. But that doesn't mean that the issues must be ignored. So this morning, for a special broadcast, I want us to hear from some of you that grew up in Westbury and in areas that are affected by gang violence and drugs. How did you manage to make it out? How did you survive? And maybe you were part of a gang. Maybe you dealt in gang violence as well, in Westbury or other areas. How are things now? What do you think we need to do to deal with the issue of gang violence in Westbury and in other areas that are affected? Give us a call right now on the 702 open line on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. We have community leaders here that will be speaking to us this hour. We have a photojournalist who has spoken to gang members. In fact, Jody called us on the show about 2 weeks ago when there was a shooting here in Westbury of these 8 young men. And Jody called in on the show and shared her own experience of what happened when, as a photojournalist, she had engagements with gang members. So we've invited her to come and join our outside broadcast so she can elaborate more on the interactions that she had with gang members. What really inspires and influences and even encourages them to join and be part of gangs. We've got the Westbury anti-drug program leader who's going to be joining us. We've got affected family members, people who've lost their loved ones as a result of drugs and gang violence. We've got a former gang member who's also going to be talking to us. We've invited the police here in Gauteng because there's an anti-gang unit. We've got the city of Johannesburg community safety. But just all in all, I really want us to hear from the Westbury residents. How are they being affected? What do they think could be the solution? That's what's coming up on the special edition of the Clement Manyathela Show, live from Westbury over the next 3 hours.
The Clement Manyathela Show, live from the Westbury Recreation Center, talking gang violence, drug abuse, and how the community can rise above it on 702.
So we start with the 702 open line on 011-883-0702. Give us a call or send us a WhatsApp voice note on 072-702-1702. I got a call before we went live from Isaac Mangena from City Power, who was explaining to me that part of the problem in Westbury is that the streets are dark. And the reason the streets are dark is because when City Power would come and fix the lights, the gang members would shoot at the lights. So they would deliberately destroy that infrastructure because it works for them for the streets to be dark. And that's part of the problem. How do you fix something like that? Because at some point, City Power has had to just step back. Because how do you come back week after week? You're fixing something that is deliberately destroyed. I mean, at some point, they're going to come after you as officials of City Power. What do you think needs to be done? There are areas like this place where we are now that are so affected. And I don't know how many messages I received from the time we announced last week that we want to do an outside broadcast from here, from people who were warning us and telling us, be safe. Oh, are you sure you want to be broadcasting from there? How else do we put on spotlight issues that affect communities like this? How else do we do that when we don't dialogue with them, when we don't give them a platform to tell us their stories and how they are affected? 011-883-0702. Your WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. It's 14 after 9.
Real stories, real voices, real impact. The Clement Manyathela Show, live from the Westbury Recreation Center on 702.
It's 16 minutes now after 9 o'clock. I want to go to your calls now. Let's start with your WhatsApp voice note.
Good morning, Clement and your team and the community of Westbury. Clement, recently there has been a video that was circulating when the police that were deployed in the Westbury area for drug-related cases wanted to attend to a scene. The whole community of Westbury chased those police people. We saw them when they were running to their cars. What is happening? Is the community blaming the police or what is happening? Because it looks like within the same community of Westbury, there are people who are working with the drug or protecting those drug gangs within the community. But the solution, I think, is a political will. Something needs to be done as urgent as possible. We only react when there is blood that is shed. There are a lot of communities that are similar with Westbury, from Max in Pretoria.
Hi, Clement. Regarding this issue of gangsters in Westbury, where is Gaten Mackenzie? He campaigned on a trail of putting his people first who are colored. Why, when there's problems pertaining to gangsters, is quiet? Where is he? Gaten Mackenzie, where is he? What is he saying? Thank you.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, you just because you haven't seen him here since the incident happened doesn't mean that he's not done any work here. And I'm not suggesting that he has been even in this area. But I'm saying that I can't speak to the work that the Patriotic Alliance has done in these areas that are often affected, just because you don't see them come out during the time when there is an incident. What I can tell you, though, is that I got a tweet from someone by the name of Atmo Yokoi Otizen, who says, Clement, as you head to Westbury today, a very important question must be asked. There is a notification of a protest on the 1st of December 2025 called Colored Lives Matter by two Patriotic Alliance councillors. So I'll ask some of the stakeholders here to speak to us about that particular issue. Is there a protest or not? Because I think this listener probably is trying to clarify if there is one. Bradley, you are calling us from Alberton. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. As a product of an individual who went to Coronation High, which sits in the middle of this, so this issue is going on for the last couple of decades, and effectively what is needed is support from all different stakeholders, being the community leaders, being the spiritual leaders, being the law enforcement. It is not a one-item solution that will solve and solve this whole issue, and it's not only Westbury and Coronation, we're finding it throughout the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody now needs to take a stand, because this is not new. It's been highlighted by the recent incident, unfortunately, and rest their souls in peace. But this issue, if you look back in history, has been going on for decades.
How did you make it out, Bradley? Were you in any way affected by the same issues where you grew up, in a manner that, like, was there pressure for you to join the gang violence? Was there pressure for you to do drugs in the community? What was your experience growing up, and how were you able to avoid being part of that?
Yeah, that's always the million-dollar question. So the answer around drugs, alcohol, gangsterism, like I said, has always been there. And I often, people would ask me the same question, but the answer I've got to that is my mother's prayers, for one, played a huge role in that. And I wanted better for myself. But that said, we cannot judge the next person for not knowing any better. Clement, what if I said to you, your reference point is a specific item or a specific area, and you don't know any better? Can I judge you for not knowing any better? The answer is no.
No.
The answer is no. So, yeah.
Right. Bradley in Alberton, thank you so much for your thoughts. Bradley says he grew up in a community like this, and says it's not a one-party solution, but it's going to require a lot of collaboration. And I couldn't have said it better. I think there's a lot more that needs to be done. And I think you could argue that there are some things that have been done. The police have established an anti-gang unit. It's operated in even areas like Westbury. And there are religious organizations that have tried to play their part. Schools are trying to play their part. Community leaders, there are political parties that are trying to put on the spotlight these issues that are affecting community members. But that's going to take community members as well. And that's part of what I want to discuss with them. What are you doing to assist even the local police or the law enforcement agencies? And is it even possible to do that? Because sometimes you speak to police officers who sometimes operate with the gangs. So that becomes a tricky terrain sometimes for community members. Jason, you are in Newlands. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. I'm a business owner in the area, and unfortunately what I've noticed over the last 15 years is that it's just gone down, further down each and every year. And I blame the city of Johannesburg and the SAPS. We sandwich right between Westbury and Clement as factory owners, and it is badly run, badly looked after, badly led. I can't think of anything good that's come out of that community in the last 10 to 15 years that has been real progress. They have a sports field in the middle of Westbury that is just used to farm tenders for fences to go up every year when they're stolen. So, and it's completely undeveloped. It is a mess. Every time the police ministers come in, they do their show. It's just an act. The SAPS and the JNPD are corrupt. They have corrupt members. We had a business forum. They were invited. They come around. They sniff to find out what actually is going on. Meanwhile, in the middle of our industrial area, we had a shack outside a factory that was dealing in drugs in return for paper scrap. And that went on for 3 years until not us, but other community members from Clement threatened them. But you can go to that corner of Brown and Eric, between Eric and Brown, and you can go and have a look there. It looks like Lebanon was bombed. Absolutely horrific.
Sure. But as business people, though, Jason, in the area, Do you interact? Do you have sometimes these gang members that come to you? They try to maybe get you guys to pay a protection fee. Have you been affected directly as businesses by these gang members?
No, they stay away from us and we stay away from them. No direct effect, but there is an effect. There's a knock-on effect with community and, the community being destabilized and ruined. I mean, they don't just shoot out the lights; they actually pull the lights off the top. So, and they actually make sure that it is completely destroyed. So no one of real impact is in charge there. It is the Wild West in its own little bubble. And the thing is, Westbury is easily surrounded by the police. Easily. They could surround Westbury, close it all off, and do proper searches for gangs there, but they don't because they have corrupt police and police area protecting.
Yeah, Jason and Newlands, thank you so much for your call. And I must tell you, I did take a walk. As I said, everybody here just warns you to just be careful, be cautious. I wanted to go do a video with Karabo, who's our digital chap here, and you get warned that don't go that far. And we walked up with, of course, the protection services that are here with us. And I came across a lady who asked, what time are you guys beginning? And I told her what time we're beginning, and I told her she must come join us for a conversation. But part of what you hear is that even the community members themselves are scared to come out and speak. They're scared. And that just gives you a sense of where things are. But there are some that are joining us, and we're going to be speaking to them soon. I think I did see people who are dressed like Amapanyaza. Unless there are two guys who walked in. And so were they disbanded? Or was that not with immediate effect? I'll try to figure that out. But I think I saw two of them walking in here. And I thought maybe that's part of the security, just making sure that they are visible in and around the area. Rudy, you are calling us from Sophia Town. Good morning.
Morning, Clement. How are you doing?
I'm all right, Rudy. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, I can.
You made me laugh now with starting on the Amapanyaza. I was just going to make a comment, but you just took me back with saying, no, when they disbanded, and you made me also ask a question now. I also know that, and I'm worried.
Maybe it wasn't with immediate effect.
And I'll see. It's a process. It's possibly Clement. I'll see you in a bit, Clement. I am from the area. I know you well. We took some pictures during my Brain of Brains at Maponya back in the day. So you probably recognize me. The point I want to make before I get there, Clement, is we have had this loss of life of youth now. And I want to say 60 youths in the last 63 months is conservatively speaking. There's been calls from the community to have a almost lockdown military intervention because it is so bad. And you just mentioned with the previous caller, there's a possible pretending police complicity in some of these incidents, and that's why the problem don't get resolved. So I don't want to get onto much into that, but the point I am making, there has been calls for military. It is so bad, Clement. I am from this area. I grew up in the area. Every week, second day, 3 young people are shot. As early as young as 13 years old, 12 years old. And it seems that there's nothing being done, or it's not being taken too seriously. The only solution, people will say, bring the military in and let us be under military rule to be able to stop this bloodshed. We've lost no more than less than 60. I'm being conservative if I say in the last 3 months. You know the incident of the last 5 that was shot. That is a street, 1 street away from where my mother we used to grow up with. There was that incident, but before that, 2-3 youths are shot in at a time. It's completely unacceptable. The issue of military intervention has fallen on deaf ears.
Yeah, Rudy, listen, that has been suggested before, you're right, and we'll talk more about it as we bring in other officials that are going to be joining us. But thanks for your call and see you soon, Rudy. Jeremy, you calling us from the Johannesburg South. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Yes, I heard you ask a question to one of the previous callers, how they got out of the area and away from gangsters. You know, it was the pressure when you're young. You get easily influenced and you want to fit in. The thing is, like the guy said, it's by the grace of God that you get through there. And small changes in your life take you in a different direction and you end up somewhere else. But for a lot of the youth, they get stuck there, they get stuck in the environment, they get stuck into the crime, get stuck into poverty, get stuck into societal issues, and it's too deep for them to get out. I think government should really step in, and they should have a sort of war room where they tackle every point that is affecting the townships.
How did you get out, Jeremy?
Like I said, the grace of God, and we moved out of Eldorado Park in, I think, the early 2000s, and so from there started working, doing different things, and got married, and I'm still out of Eldorado Park.
Yeah. Jeremy, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, calling us from the Johannesburg CBD. And yeah, there are many other people that have been able to get out, but there are many more people that are hoping for that possibility, and they somehow are stuck. They're stuck in a community that is not well protected. They're stuck in a community where there may be some cops that work with the criminals. They're stuck in a community that often gets forgotten and only gets remembered when there is a drastic incident where there are people that are dying, or where there are fights between gangs and there are many people that have been left dead. And that's when somehow you awaken a society to the realities of what's happening in these communities. But really the reality is this is what they face every day. I'm speaking to you now. I'm looking at young people who are walking the streets. They should be in school. They're not in school. Earlier on, there were kids who look 14, 15, who came to us here to chat to us, and you could tell that they are high on drugs already. That was already at about 8 in the morning. And this is a reality that they face every single day. And the biggest mistake we'll make is forgetting these areas, especially those who are even privileged, and thinking that you don't need to worry about areas that get affected like this because you are in a privileged position. This is much a crisis for you as it is for people who live here. More of your calls and WhatsApps.
The Clement Manyathela Show, live from the Westbury Recreation Center, talking gang violence, drug abuse, and how the community can rise above it on 702.
Yes, 22 minutes before 10 o'clock, you're listening to the special broadcast of the Clement Manyathela Show, live from Westbury, and we're here to talk to the community. And we've got a number of stakeholders that are going to be joining us. We've got councillors here. We have invited the police, government officials. There are former gang members. And we want to hear the community, because this is an area that is affected by gang violence. And it is an area where community members often feel forgotten unless someone has to die. And it's said that that is the reality that they face, and that week after week, many of them are scared to even leave their homes. Some of them are scared to even report crimes to the police because they fear that they may be working with the gang members. I continue to take your calls on 011-883-0702. Your WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. We've got Councillor Marilyn Smoos here, who's joining us, Westbury Ward 82 Councillor, who's going to speak to us about her work and the kind of issues that she's interacted in within this area. Councillor Smoos, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Good morning, residents, everybody that is listening in. Councillor Marilyn Smoos here from Ward 82.
How long have you been the councillor in this area? At Ward 82?
Ward 82. It's going for my 7th month now.
7th month?
7 months, yeah. 7 good months.
Good.
Very good months.
It's good to know that they're good, given, of course, what the community members here get affected by on every single day. Can you maybe share with us, Councillor Smoos, what have been some of the biggest issues that are affecting this community of Westbury?
Oh, it is so much. It is actually, it's dying. Firstly, I'll be speaking as a mother, a community member, a child of the soil. Growing up in Westbury, we never had situations like this, like it's going on now. It's affecting all of us. It's affecting the daily lives of each and every one of us as residents, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters of this beautiful community of Westbury. It is sad what is really happening to our children on a daily. I mean, our children lose their lives prematurely every day on the streets of Westbury. And it is really sad that nothing has been done.
What do they lose their lives from? Is it an issue of them being involved in gang violence? Is it just a matter of pure criminality? What exactly is it that's taking their lives?
With that one, I'm actually not quite sure if it's part of gangsterism, if it's just because, you know what, we've been a close-knit community, and I feel that this thing is actually tearing us apart, because I'm not sure if it's gang violence, I'm not sure if it's jealousy, because why? When you look at it, this is brothers. This is brothers that has been living together. It's families that is being torn apart by this. So I don't know if it's really gangsterism or if it's just a brutal, ugly demon that is in our area.
So what's the solution? Because the police are saying that they have established the anti-gang unit, which has also operated in this area. And I'm just wondering, has that worked from what you have picked up in the last 7 months?
No, it's actually not working. We can go back as far as 2018. 2018, we had the Minister of Police. We had him here in Westbury. Just where we are standing right now.
Yeah.
We've got the grounds just across here. And we had him here, Bekitele. And believe you me, nothing is being done. It feels like as if government is failing us currently, because nothing is being done. When I can take you back just to a couple of weeks ago when we had a huge protest, when there was a huge protest here in Westbury. Look at the amount of police that was there. Look at the police commissioner that came out. Just last week on the 21st, when those 7 kids were shot here in Westbury.
The
what
commissioner
happened?
was here.
Commissioner was here the day after,
And the following day.
and what about the days thereafter? Just on Friday, I was at one of the boys' funerals. You know, it was so sad that there was no police visibility. One van, and they know what is happening in our community. There's one van, a marked van from Alexandra. What about our SEPs? What about Sophia Town SEPs? What about the huge number of police visibility that they said they will send out to us? If you just go back to that protest, and people was fighting on that day for a basic human right, where SEPs came in and treated us like dogs. SEPs was here all over the place, every day in our community. Why can that not happen when our children's lives are being lost here on the streets of Westbury?
Yeah. What do you think could help, especially get the children off the streets? You know, we are next to a recreation center here. There's an area where kids can come and do some activities. And you spoke about the grounds. Are there enough of those that can get the kids off the grounds? Because, I mean, I've seen some of the kids who are supposed to be in school and they're not in school. Some of them, you can tell they've already taken drugs at 8 in the morning.
There's not enough of skills development facilities or centers, proper skills development centers in our areas. Because remember, there's a lot of our children that is dropouts, that maybe had some ills in school or challenges in learning, you know, because we're all not academically inclined. So these skills development centers would help us. There's so many open fields that we have in and around Westbury, that we are trying, we are fighting with government to give us those spaces that we can open skills development centers. Every time we have a community-based project, then we have the IDP project where we implement things like this for skills development centers to be to start in our communities. But it just feels like it falls on deaf ears. So if we have more of those, I think it can help these children. We can get them off the street. Just last week, when we had that, was it Tswara? We had a number of children out here at the Westbury Recreation Center. Again, our children came out in numbers, and then afterwards, there's always challenges. There's always some challenge, but at least there was about 30 plus of our children that actually went to the rehabilitation centers.
Yeah. Yeah. Where are the political parties? There are some listeners who have been asking this morning about, for instance, the Patriotic Alliance that has always advocated for areas like Westbury, and they've said we want to put the issues that affect these communities at a national scale and get the intervention that's necessary from government. Before every elections, politicians always come here to campaign.
Okay.
Where are they?
I must tell you, I'm a councillor in the city of Johannesburg, but I'm a representative of the Patriotic Alliance.
Yes.
So here's the Patriotic Alliance right now. The Patriotic Alliance has been on the ground. When you look just at last night, our president, the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, we had a family, we call it our family time. And just last night, on the 1st of December, we're having a march. I will share
Someone
that.
actually tweeted me about that and said I must ask you about it because we knew you're coming. So that is an official march sanctioned by the Patriotic Alliance.
Yeah. It's all black. It is not a march for the Patriotic Alliance. It is a march for the broader South Africa, just to join. We will not wear any regalia. We're calling on all political parties. We're calling on all churches. We're calling on all institutions and everybody to join us on this march. Let us hold hands and we can fight and try and curb this demon together. But that was organized by our president, Clement Manyathela, last night.
Do you think that your presence here as the Patriotic Alliance has helped put these issues, like, are you putting these issues at council, for instance? Are some of the issues communities are facing being put in parliament through your representatives there as well?
I'm sure of that, because by even Monday morning when press went live with us again, he said that he will take it to Mr. Ramaphosa, to the president, to tell him that, it is time, because we have tried everything. We have tried peace marches in and around Westbury couple of years ago, and press said that you will speak to the president to please, because we're calling on the army. It's the army or nothing. Right now we are calling on the army because SAPS has failed us. SAPS has failed us. So now we are calling on the army. That's our stance now. It's a call for the army. Army or nothing.
Councillor Marilyn Smoos, Westbury Ward 82 councillor, who is a representative of the Patriotic Alliance. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
It's now 13 minutes before 10 o'clock. After the break, we'll go to some more calls and WhatsApps and continue talking to community members here in Westbury.
Real stories, real voices, real impact. The Clement Manyathela Show, live from the Westbury Recreation Center on 702.
It's now 10 minutes before 10 o'clock. Desmond, Luel, Sizwe, I see your calls. I'll come to them in a moment. I want to bring in someone now who is one of the community members here in Westbury. His name is Mason Fortune, who is a Westbury resident. And I just want to have a quick chat with him, and then I'll come to your calls in a moment. Mr. Fortune, thank you so much for making time for us. Please use that mic. Good morning.
Morning, Clement. How you doing?
I'm all right, thank you.
No, I'm not good. Believe you me.
Yeah, I've heard from the producers since you've been here that you're saying what we're discussing really is a tip of an iceberg.
That is exactly
what do you mean by that?
Clement, the way I see it is that when we are actually discussing the crime, the drug problem, the poverty within this community of ours, when I call it an iceberg, I actually mean it's merely a symptom of a bigger problem. And the bigger problem, most people will not actually identify or notice. It's got a lot to do with infrastructure development. It's got a lot to do with investment. We are one of the most marginalized communities within the greater Johannesburg. We can refer to Aldos, we can refer to Tukkies, we can refer to Rega Park, all those areas. And it's not surprising that most of these areas are so-called colored areas. And I'm not saying that it's only happening within Sokokol. But the point of the matter is, and I'm going to plea to you, Clement, to actually join the people of Westbury to come up with some kind of a strategy whereby we can actually instead of getting the police over here, instead of getting the army over here, we don't need those people really. What we need is investment. We need to get people to actually come in over here, bring in their money, bring in the resources, and in so doing, once we have those resources within the community, we can start actually working on the infrastructure. Infrastructure as in, if you look across the road, you see an open piece of ground over there. It's been like that for the past 60, 70 years. There's been no development over there. If you can construct a shopping center, a mini shopping center over there, you know what that would do to the community.
But how does that deal with the issue of crime? Because as much investment you can bring here, if the community is still riddled by crime,
Point
that's going to chase
how
away
do you deal
investors.
with crime? Crime, like I said to you, is a symptom. It is not the cause. Once you replace, or once you have the jobs coming in due to the creation of infrastructure. When you came in over here, Clement, did you see a Woolworth shop on the corner over there? When you came down, did you see a shopping center opposite you? Did you see a KFC? Did you see any of those things?
No.
Now that is what I'm talking about. If you don't have the means, if you don't actually curate that which is not there, you will not actually attend to the root causes of what is going on in Westbury. We need jobs. We need employment. We need we need a better health system, a better education system. This is systemic. And the way I see it, and to be quite honest with you, maybe you might even actually want to actually Google what I'm actually saying to you. What's happening into all these areas, particularly Westbury, there's probably a system that's going on over here, a hidden system that we don't know about, that most people in all these particular areas that we have these high crime rates, we have these high drug abuse cases, we have all those cases. That system is called, basically, my opinion, government, state, depraved indifference. That is how I see it. The state, the government, they just don't care. The opposite of love, Clement, is not hate. It's indifference. You don't see us. You don't recognize us. You don't want to hear us. And that is what's causing the problem. If you don't see us as who we should be seen as, if you don't attend to what is really happening over here, the root causes that I'm saying to you, iceberg crime, iceberg drugs, those are the issues that we see on the ground. We don't see what's really happening at the bottom.
Mr. Fortune, thank you so much. And when I bring in the government officials, I will ask them about the bigger picture. How do we bring investments here? How do you ensure that there's infrastructure and the things that you've mentioned? I really appreciate your time. Let me go to Desmond.
Before we go.
Yeah, just quickly.
Here we go. I would like to invite you to my house. I'm busy with a small business at home. Okay, I'm talking about township businesses and economic structure that needs to be established within each and every township. We do not get that. We don't get economists coming over here. We don't get psychologists coming over here. We don't get all those people, those experts, those academics. What we do get over here only is police.
When there's a death. I got you. Mr. Fortune, I'll come through. I'll hand you over now to the producer to chat to quickly. Caesar, you are calling us from Soweto. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Morning. How are you, Clement?
I'm all right, man. Go ahead. You're an Uber driver, I'm told.
Yes, I'm an Uber driver. Usually, I come around Westbury to drop clients. So clients will complain about the area. So you know what my take when I comment? My take is the problem starts with the same community. You know why I'm saying that, Clement? I'm saying that because in that community, in that Westbury community, in that Eldos community, Rache Park community, even in Soweto, the problem is us as a community. Because in Westbury, the people know who the people then in the community, they know who are selling drugs. They know the people who are selling drugs. So you know what's happening. Drug dealers, they will be targeting those poor families by buying them groceries in order to recruit those small boys into gangsterism. That's a problem in Westbury. And again, the problem is the police. You know that Sophia Town police station. Police in South Africa, they are the ones who are delivering drugs. I've seen them several times. Police, especially even in Joburg, because I go around Gauteng. Even in the CPD, police are the ones that are delivering drugs. They're by Peria, they're by Yeovil. Our police are the ones that are delivering drugs. But the solution to this, Clement, is
lies with the community.
The solution lies with the community, because where you are now, those people there, they know who are the drug dealers. They know that's the problem. As soon as people speak out and then yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I got it. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. I think you've made the point. And what you say about the police, knowing what we know now, even more, I think that story is so believable. Thanks for your thoughts, Sizwe in Soweto. Desmond and Llewellyn, I know you guys have been holding for a while. I will take your calls after the news at 10 o'clock. I really apologize, but we've just run out of time and I need to take a break and get to the news as well. So I'll get to you in what, Abel? We don't have a break? No? Okay, Abel says we don't have. That's great. Desmond, let's start with you, Indonesia. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. You're speaking to Desmond. I was actually born in Westbury, grew up there for 20 years. Qualified as a physical education taught at CJB, the school in Bosmont, moved to Annandale, subsequently became a principal. I'm holding a PhD. The primary school I went to in Westbury is called Dowling Avenue Primary, and it's turning 60 years next year. I'm one of the lucky 22,000 entrants that got an entry for Comrades next year. I would like to raise awareness and raise funds for every kilometer I complete for my 10th Comrades next year. And go into the school and use the Dowling Avenue as a base to work with the school-based support teams in the area. Sport-wise, I was part of the Bull and Bush Boxing Club. I grew up there. I knew everybody. What we lack is we don't have sufficient role models. I specifically think about Don Matera, and bringing back sport into the school, even if I must dedicate one day and teach physical education. Swimming, when I was at that same school, Thursdays was swimming day. The teacher took us to the nuclear pool, and there I learned that he took us and we dived into the water, and he said, go sonnies, don't baiza. And that's where I learned that term. So I'm going back there next year, if the school will allow me. Because my PhD is in counseling and I have a background in psychology. So I thought, let me go back and make a difference by putting my money where my mouth is. Yeah?
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Desmond, thank you so much for that call, and kudos to you for recognizing the need for those skills, for those resources here in the community of Westbury. When we've made it out, we must always ask ourselves, how can we go back and make a difference? And I'm glad to hear, Desmond, that you are intentioned to do exactly that. Thank you for your call in Lenesia.